ish.
Fantastic.
So, hey, everybody,
Right.
thank you for joining us on I Stopped Drinking Live. Today, we have a special guest, Constable Lawrence Lowe. Thanks for checking in, bro.
Yeah, man. Pleasure to be here. Happy that you invited me over. This is fantastic.
Oh, for sure. For those who don't know, Lawrence is a long-time supporter. So, it's a truly an honor to have you here. So, I want to get started. How long have
All
you
right, man.
been a police officer?
So this is my this is my 20th year.
Okay.
So 18 years with Peel Police, and
Okay.
then 2 years with the OPP.
Okay. So
Yeah.
is it the whole story of you've always wanted to be a police officer, or you kind of just fell into it? How did that work?
Oh, always wanted to be it. So funny enough, ever since I was 8, I
Okay.
have vivid memories of me and my dad watching like old school TV shows like Remington Steele, Rockford Files, Mission Impossible, Hogan's Heroes, all that stuff, where it's like, good guys always come out on top, people always
Okay.
helping other people, trying to, be the good guy in relation to help the people to do it from. Uh-oh.
I lost you for a second.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
good. We
Yeah,
still,
you froze up on me.
all right, cool.
Okay,
Oh, shoot.
so let's
Okay.
start
I don't know what was going on there. Anyway.
so you watched Remington Steele with your father. I missed the part
Yeah.
after that.
Oh, so it's
Okay,
just like
so
a whole bunch of shows way back when. And that just kind of
okay.
molded my mind to be like, you got to be the person to help the people that can't help themselves. You know what I mean? So it's
Okay.
all about trying to help people that can't or don't have the means, the assistance or aid that they need. You got to be
Okay.
that person. You got to be the big person to step up and be able to.
Well, I mean, that's an awesome way of looking at it. So what's your favorite part of
Yeah,
the
man.
job? When you wake up in the morning, what's get you going? What gets you out
Yep.
of bed?
Honestly, it's the people I work with.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, when I was at Peel, it was very family oriented there. When I came to the OPP, it was the same thing. It's just there's a certain type of person that's a police officer, and
Mm-hmm.
when you get into that fold, it's I wouldn't say it's a brother sisterhood. It's more of a I don't know. It's something where you wake up and you're excited to work with the people you work with because you know you all have
Mm-hmm.
a common goal, and that's just to help
Right.
people, whether it be whatever sort of call you're doing or whatever it is you're doing throughout the day. That's the goal. I think most officers, that's the goal for them, and that's
Mm-hmm.
been the goal for me, is to try and help people. You know, because we get called when people are in crisis or at their lowest point, or if they just need some sort of help. Uh, so that's. Am I still frozen again?
Yeah, you froze up again. Like you always get to the good part, to the climax, and it freezes up on you. So
Oh, man. I don't know what's going on.
here, let me see if that's. Let me
I don't know
check
what's
to
going
see if
on.
that might be me. Let me see. Nope, I'm good.
That might be me, bro. I don't know. Hang on, let's see. So it might be me that.
Uh-oh. See, we don't have much down here in Windsor, but we got good internet.
I guess so. I don't know what's happening. Yeah,
Oh,
right?
excuse
Like,
me.
I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so
All right. Are we
it's
good? Are
all
we
about the
back?
man next.
All right.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. So you mentioned it's all about
All
the
right.
men and women next to you, and who make the job,
Right.
that much more fulfilling. With a lot of the things that have been happening over the past, I would say, decade, with quote unquote police misconduct and things like that, Do you think that it's
Right.
made your job a little bit harder, especially with kind of connecting with the community and things like that?
It absolutely has.
Okay.
Uh, just in obviously, good officers do not want to see what's been going on, especially down.
Hmm.
I'd say it's more so down south. I can't really say that I've seen it prevalent up here in Canada, but down
Hmm.
south, I mean, we all get painted with the same brush, right? When you see that stuff go on
Yeah.
down south, it all gets painted up here as well. And I'm not saying that there's
Yeah.
instances where that doesn't happen up here as well. It's just not
Hmm.
as prevalent and it's not as focused in the media as it is down there.
Right. Right.
That being
Hmm.
said, though, it does make our job that much more difficult just because there's already, I mean, once you arrive at the scene of something or you have an interaction with a member of the public, you're already down a point because they
Right.
think that you're the man. You're there out to get them. You're there to try and find something. You're there to either arrest or, you know, do something that is contrary to what they want done.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So you're
Yeah.
already down that point. Um, but again, to me, I don't know. I mean, obviously I've had bad interactions, but I always approach it where I go in, I give my respect. If you give it back, we'll be cool. Do you know what
Right.
I mean? And I've carried my career throughout like that for 20 years. And I can say that, I don't know, I don't think I've had any major bad interactions where I feel I've done something wrong that would portray me or put me in a bad light.
Hmm.
The way I approach the job is you're talking to somebody's mom, you're talking to somebody's dad, you're talking to somebody's son or daughter.
Hmm.
Treat them how you would want to be treated if you were being, approached by an officer. That's
Yeah.
pretty much what it is. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
I feel that. Yeah, for
The
sure.
mindset that I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it gives the people that you're dealing with kind of this situation where it's this person is giving me their respect, so I have to give it to them in return. And I think a lot
Right.
of times, like, I hate to be an armchair quarterback, but a guilty pleasure of mine, I like to watch police interaction videos. And I think sometimes
Yep.
that's missing. Sometimes officers get in positions where I wear the badge, you listen to me no matter what, and they fail to listen to the people
Right.
that they're talking to. So
Right.
I'm really glad to hear you say that. And the biggest thing is that I have noticed that once I moved here to Canada, the police treated me a lot different. And not to say I had negative interactions before, but you were more laid back,
Right.
you were more solution driven as opposed to, you know, just trying to piece the things together, the issues together. It's like, let's
Right.
get this done and let's get it moving. So
Yeah.
what are some of the difference between the municipal level and the provincial level in terms of policing?
Uh, I'd say municipal. I mean, obviously, you're talking about your major cities, right? So your
Right.
Toronto's, your Mississaugas, your Brampton,
Hmm.
where you are, your Windsor, London, all that stuff, right?
Yep.
In terms of OPP provincially, you're dealing with a lot of smaller townships. So
Hmm.
it's a lot of, and I don't mean to sound dismissive or bad about it, but a lot of like very small rural areas that
Hmm.
expect a level of policing that just is I don't know, it's vastly different. So for
Hmm.
example, like for example today, I dealt with a call where two females, they knew each other for a year and all of a sudden they started having this cat fight over text messages and voicemails. And so they decided to call police
Oh,
because they
great.
couldn't settle their differences. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean?
wow.
So that's what I mean. Like that's a call. And everything comes in. We take everything. And I mean
Okay.
everything. Whereas municipal, I think there's a bit more of a they're very busy. There's a lot
Hmm.
more things going on than you with your little, spat with your friend. So
Right.
this isn't a police issue. You guys need to sort your stuff out, deal with it. We're not coming. But I mean, it's money driven as well, where the level of calls or the amount of calls you do a day determines your next budgetary, assets
Yeah.
for the next year, the next
Yeah.
calendar year. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying municipals don't do the same thing, but I think municipals are a little bit more engaged in how they kind of stagger and trivialize calls and all that.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the
Well,
difference for me. Like it's different.
so how many of your calls are? Sorry about that.
No
So
worries, man.
so how do you guys get a lot of those junk calls? Just like, man, I can't. This person
Honestly, I'd say in
won't
a
shut
day,
up.
right?
Yeah.
I'd say in a day, I'd say about 40% of the calls are that.
Okay.
60% of the calls are actual calls for service.
Okay.
And in rural areas, I find that there's a lot more mental health calls
Mm.
and a lot more just, I wouldn't say nuisance calls, but calls that are continually on the regular. Like the same person calls
Okay.
for the same thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of that has to do, like I said, it falls back on mental health as well. I don't know if
Mhm.
there's been just a prevalence in that since I started policing in 2004. And I noticed the change come around maybe 2000 and I want to say 14 or 15, where
Oh, that
just the
makes
level
sense.
of mental health calls just started elevating.
Kind of
And
coincides with the opioid crisis a bit.
that's what I mean, right? Exactly.
Mm.
So that, and then I think the next spike for me was COVID. After
Yeah.
we've come out of COVID now and everything's kind of semi back to normal, there's been another spike in mental health crisis. And a lot of the calls we deal with, it's mental health issues, and it's a stopgap. We're just a band-aid to a larger problem when it comes to that.
Mm. Okay. What do you mean by that? You're a stopgap to a
So I
larger
mean,
problem.
like
Excuse me.
we as police, there's only so much that we can do in terms of helping or assisting somebody with a mental health crisis, right?
Okay.
We deal with the here, with the then and now. They're in crisis. We get there, we try and deal with it, and we try and allocate resources and get them resources to get them the help they need.
Right.
Sometimes those social services are just inundated with calls. So, for example, the county I'm in, it's a large county, and a majority of, like I said, a large majority of the calls is mental health. And so the resources allocated to that, they're just not there.
Okay.
So you're getting a level of service where it's literally just kind of maybe a phone call to the person in crisis saying, okay, I'm checking on you today. How are you doing? Okay, you're not wanting to do anything to yourself today. Okay, that's good. That's progress. Are you taking your medication? Are you making your daily visits to whatever you need to do? Do you know what I mean? It's like we can only provide so much because we have other calls that we need to go to and deal with that
Right.
are way more serious or prevalent than some mental health calls, depending on what it is. Honestly.
Of course.
Yeah.
See, that's why I was never with the defund the police wave. If anything, you want to increase funding so that you can get training in those type of services. So
exactly, and with more funding, that way you'd be able to train officers better when it comes to mental health, and you can also obtain mental health workers to ride with officers and go to these calls.
Yes, sir.
Because you know what I mean? Like people see an officer in uniform, and like I said already, there's that bridge that you've got to cross. Whereas if you see a person that's a mental health crisis worker with an officer, at least they know, okay, this person's trained for this. I can talk to that person, and we're only there if in case things kind of
escalate,
go sideways. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So I'm glad you segued into the COVID thing. How did that kind of affect policing for those, what was it, 2 years we were
2 years,
locked down and
funny enough, it was, I wouldn't say funny, but it seemed to kind of put things on autopilot. You know what I mean? Like the level of calls kind of reduced. People were home.
Yeah.
It was kind of chill. There was really not much going on. At the time I was in a bureau I was in the homicide bureau at the time. And it was funny because it was a joke. We're like, once this pandemic blows over, we're going to find bodies everywhere because nobody's going out.
Right.
So it's going to be those calls where, hey, where's Charlie? How come he's not at work? Oh, somebody killed him like way back. You know what I mean?
He's getting eaten by his cats.
Exactly. So, but I don't know. It was a weird time because there really wasn't much going on. I'm not saying that there weren't calls or anything like that or things to
Mhm.
do. It just wasn't as ramped up as it is now. It was
Right.
a weird 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It really was a weird 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I want to ask you this. I'm a civilian. I've never been in your position. You said you're in homicide, so you don't do traffic work at all. You're a
Oh no,
detective.
I do that now. So okay, a little
You do
bit of
that now. Okay.
background on me. So through my career, so I started in uniform. Yeah, I do that now. So I mean, started I was in uniform, and then I did policing unit, which was like the school resource officer. So you go into high
Okay.
schools and all that when we were allowed to go to the high schools.
Yeah.
So I did that for 3 years. There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you still hear me now or no?
Yeah. Yeah. I got you.
Okay, perfect. Uh, so I went to the Criminal Investigation Bureau for a number of years. Then I went into homicide, back to Criminal Investigation Bureau, back to homicide, and then back to the road. And then once I was
Okay.
on the road for about, I want to say 8 months, then I switched to OPP. So I've got like uniform, investigative time, and all that stuff.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
I've
So
got a whole bunch of stuff over my 20 years.
so you're sitting there, and I zoom by you, poof,
Right.
and you light me up. I pull
Yep.
over.
Yep.
What is going through your mind when you stop a car and you're going to make contact? What are you thinking? Are you playing scenarios out? Are you trying to kind of take in a bunch of information and figure out what you want to do? Or is there just like, does the training take over? We froze up again.
I'm just going to. Is it an emergency? Did somebody call you? Like, are you or
I
trying to get
missed you
away
for about 30
somewhere?
seconds.
Whatever the case is. You Oh, geez, okay.
Yeah, I
So I was
missed
just
you.
taking your scenario where you said you flew
Yeah,
by me, right?
yeah, yep.
Yeah, no, can you hear me now or no?
Yeah, I
All
got
right.
you. I got you.
I'm
You're
taking
back.
your scenario, right? You fly by
Yeah.
me, bunch of things are running through my head.
Hmm.
Speeding. Are you on your way to like did somebody call you? Are you fleeing the scene of something?
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of scenarios you're playing through your head. So what I do, I can't speak for every officer. I'm going to give that caveat right now. This is just what
Hmm.
I generally do.
Okay.
If I'm able to catch up to you, I'll pull in behind you. I'll run your plate,
Hmm.
and then I'll get the information from your plate. So I at least have the ammunition to know what exactly it is I'm walking up to. Am I walking up to a male or female, depending on who the owner is and depending who's driving? Am I
Hmm.
walking up to a male or female? Am I walking up to a person that's got a criminal record? Am I walking up to a person that's got like a litany of traffic issues or traffic
Hmm.
violations? Is the car stolen? Is the car, um, cited for some sort of criminal activity? Whatever the case is, right? So I'm
Hmm.
getting that information when I'm pulling up. Once I'm walking up to the car, I'm looking inside and seeing how many occupants are in the car itself. Is it
Okay.
just the driver? Are there people in the passenger seat? Are there people in the back? Are there people like kind of looking back, getting ready to run, getting ready to, pop off and just kind of flee or do something, right?
Hmm.
Um, but for the most part, I'll walk up, I'll let you know, hey, this is what I observed.
Excuse me.
Just want to know, why is it you're speeding? Do you have your proper documentation with you? What's your driving record like?
Hmm.
What's the reason for the speed?
Hmm.
And depending on how our communication or how our interaction goes, I mean, I'm I'm at a point now in my career where I don't really give out a lot of tickets.
Yeah.
I'm more of a I'm here for educational purposes. Slow down. people get killed all the time with speed
Mm.
or whatever it
Yeah.
is you're doing, right? If you're
Yeah.
running a stop sign, speeding, blowing a red light, whatever it is. If it's egregious, you're getting a ticket. But if it's something where you're telling me like, well, oh, my wife called me, there's something going on at home with my kid. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
But if you want to get home and make sure your kid's fine, get home in one piece. Just slow
Right.
down. You
Yeah.
don't need to speed there, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I gauge and what I do when I pull over a car. It's not like I'm going up there with my hand on my gun,
Yeah.
or going up there with the intent to like issue a ticket or the intent to arrest somebody or anything like that.
Mhm.
It's literally for me, it's about education and it's about
Yeah.
you're doing this thing. I'm sure there's a reason why you're doing it, and you think it's the proper reason to do it, but you got to understand you're putting other people at risk
Yeah.
with what you're doing, right?
Mhm.
But again, obviously, like I said, if it comes back where I run the plate and it's stolen or something, then I might think twice about me even approaching the car. I might just say, "All right, I'll wait behind the car, and I'm calling for other units to come and assist me." And
Okay.
I'm just chilling, just waiting for other units to get there, so that way it's just not me taking on this person that's in that car.
That could be potentially dangerous. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay. No, I
Right.
hear that.
So yeah.
Well, yeah.
So
You
I
know
mean,
what? I'm sorry. The whole reason why I
nope.
wanted to talk to you because I don't know many police officers, and I don't think a lot of
Right.
other people do as well. And we forget that you guys are human, and that it's not just officer safety or it's
Right.
our safety, but you're actually a person, and there are reservations, and it's like, hey, I'm not calling 50 cars because we want to intimidate you. I'm calling
Right.
50 cars
Exactly.
because if stuff goes left, then I need these additional units behind me.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Exactly.
yeah, perfect.
You know what I mean?
So
Right.
let's hear about this shoulder and pectoral injury that you
Oh man.
suffered at the hand of.
Right. Well, I'm not getting any younger, and I should
Yeah.
know better. But so this call was for a suspicious guy that was at a Shoppers Drug Mart.
Mhm.
He had been there the night before, and he had threatened staff saying that he was going to stab up the place. Right? Again, mental health, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So he leaves. By the time officers go there that night, he had left and they couldn't find him.
Mhm.
So we get the call the following day saying that he's not really doing weird. So me and my partner, we go find the guy. Gentleman was clearly he had mental health issues or he was either drug induced. It turns out he was drug induced.
Okay.
So we approach him. He's got a bag with him, and in the bag is cologne, razors, perfumes, I think a couple of umbrellas, and a whole bunch of stuff that were clearly clearly stolen items from the store.
Yeah.
So again, like I said, I'm at a stage in my career where okay, it's a theft. As long as the store gets their stuff back, I'm not going to be laying charges in relation to
Mhm.
it. I'm going to
Yeah.
caution you. I'm going to give you a trespassing, and you're not going to come back to the store. But as
Right.
long as the store recoups what they lost, it is what it is,
Mhm.
right? Because the court, like going to court for that, it's you're not going to get anything for it. You're not going to have to pay
Okay.
restitution. You might do some community service if that, but anyway. So we escort him outside. One of the workers approaches me and says, "Hey, I think I saw him also put stuff down his pants." So I'm like, "Okay, well, when we go
Ooh.
outside, we'll deal with that." So we're outside. He's talking to my partner. Things are kind of cordial at that point. So when I walk outside, I tell him, "Look, one of the employees inside said, 'Hey, it looks like you put some stuff down your pants.' So what I'm going to ask you to do is empty your pockets, lift your shirt up, let me see what's under there just to make sure that you have nothing else on you. That's all I'm going to do." Well, do I need to do that? Yeah, because you're under arrest at this point,
Yeah.
and I just need to make sure that there's nothing else on you that belongs to the store or is going to hurt me or my partner. So he lifts up his shirt, and in his shirt there's a satchel. And
Oh.
in the satchel, I don't know what's in the satchel, whether it be a knife, gun, drugs, whatever. But he's acting hinky when he pulls
Mm.
up his shirt and he's starting to touch the satchel.
Mm-mm. Don't
So
do that.
exactly. So my partner, he's got his taser ready.
Mhm.
I've got my hand on my gun because I don't know if it's a gun or a knife or whatever it is. Like I
Yeah.
said, right? So I'm putting my hands on him, and then he bolts. He runs. So now we give chase. Able to grab him initially. He slips out because he's wearing a coat and a sweater. So he slips out of those easy, and he keeps running. So then we pursue him further, get across the street, end up tackling him. When I went to tackle him, I landed hard on my right side, and I felt a pop. And so eventually we get this guy in custody, get the cuffs on him. I stand up. I can barely lift my right arm. So I'm surveying the area. He's dumped a bunch of drugs. He's dumped 2 knives, and he's dumped some other stolen items that he had on him.
Jesus.
So we're gathering these items, take him to the car, and we're driving down to take him to our detachment where we're going to process him.
Mm-hmm.
While we're en route, though, he tells my partner, I swallowed 2.5 grams of fentanyl when you guys were chasing me. And then he starts ODing in the backseat of the car.
No way. No way.
Yeah. So now it's an emergency run to the hospital. Thankfully, though, we do go to the hospital because when we get there, I can barely use my right arm now.
Oh, my God.
And so he's triaged and he's comatose now. I triage myself. And the medical staff there were fantastic because within 45 minutes, I had my x-rays done, my ultrasound done, and the ultrasound tech was like, you're not going back to work for a while because it looks like you've got 3 tears.
Ooh.
2 in your rotator and 1 in your pec. And I'm like, well, am I going to need surgery or anything like that? Is it that bad? Because like the pain was unbearable at that point. Wow. And they're like, well, I can't say that. It's going to have to come from a doctor. A doctor's going to have to come see you to verify whether or not it's going to be surgery. Thankfully, when I got called the next day, they said it's a minor tear.
Okay.
It's a tear nonetheless, so no surgery, but it's going to be about a good 4 to 6 months that you're out. And you're going to be on a desk, and then you're just going to have to go through rehab and all this stuff right now. So today, funny enough, today was my first day back to work.
Okay.
And it was just literally dealing with phone calls and catching up on paperwork that I had missed and stuff. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what happened to my shoulder. It's literally a person that was migrated from Woodstock, kind of skulking around in the area in Ingersoll, and then just wound up running from us just because he had a bit of drugs on him.
So you're on desk duty now.
I'm on desk duty now.
Are you? How's that? Are you itching? Are you like, man?
I
don't know how long this is gonna last.
Yeah, but bro, I'm telling you, man. I don't know. Like I love the road. I love being in uniform. I love going out. I love dealing with the public. I still deal with the public in a, I guess I'll have with a phone or in front. I just want to make sure my shoulder heals properly before I go back out there and get back into the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm sure at your age, it's not healing the way it would when you were younger, right?
No, when I was 20, when I was Wolverine, it's not healing like that, bro. It's
you would have been like,
slow go right now.
Like surgery. What? Nah,
Yeah,
this would be good by the weekend. Like, what are you talking about? Oh my,
exactly.
Oh man.
So no, it's a bit of an eye opener too, because I mean, you think you're invincible, you think you're in shape, you think you can do these things, and then boom, something like this just kind of puts a wrench in things, right?
Yeah, it went quick though. Those 20, your career, it flew by. I'm sure you. I'm sure you remember coming out of the academy and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So 10 more years and then you're done.
Man. And I'm done.
Yeah, you're done.
And I don't know what I'm gonna do after, but I always said I'll take maybe a good year or two and just travel, do stuff with the wife, and then maybe. Yeah.
See, ironically enough, my next door neighbor, he was a police officer for 37 years, and he just travels. That's all he does. He just travels all over the world. He's just like, I'm just gonna enjoy life from here on out. So yeah,
and he did it for 37 years. Oh my
37 years. He's still in good shape too, man. It's like if you knuckled up with him, he might give you some work.
Like, fantastic. That's good.
Yeah, man. He's out in the yard all the time. He's out there with his shirt off. The ladies come around flirting with him. I'm like, all right, man. I ain't mad at you. Like,
I can do bad at that. Right?
no, you can't. You
Nice.
can't be bad. Shoot. So
Holy jeez.
all the stuff going on with the TTC.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about that? What would you do if you were in charge? What would you do to
The
kind
thing
of remedy
is,
that?
the solution to me is simple. Obviously, you need to have more transit officers out on
Mhm.
patrol, out on foot, making sure things aren't going down. Obviously, that's not going to prevent everything from happening.
Right, right,
But that being said, you also need the resources to do that. I'm
right.
not sure what staffing levels are for TTC. I know that it's an epidemic for policing right now where
Mhm.
we're short staffed everywhere. So I can
Okay,
only assume it's the same for transit police as well, right?
right.
So they can't be everywhere all the time, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, to me, it's a combination of things. You need more resources on the ground,
Mhm.
and you need stricter penalties for people that commit the crimes that are committed on on transit or in general.
Yeah,
Like right now, it's just it's another epidemic where people are getting arrested, but then they're out literally the next day, and
yeah,
even for like serious crimes. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like the stabbings and the beatings and stuff that happened on the TTC. I'm not sure what sort of penalty or what these people are getting when they go to
Mhm.
court. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they go to court, they get arrested, they get charged, they go to court, they probably get released on conditions, and then they just go and do it again, and
yeah.
then you breach them on those conditions, but there's no substance to anything that's going on when it comes to the court side. There's
Mm.
no strict penalty. There's no convictions where it's a lengthy time spent in incarceration or in some sort of rehab or whatever the case is. It's just it's a bit of a broken system. It's a system where we try and do the work, and like I said, I'm not trying to paint a bad brush on the judicial system. Everywhere's got its issues.
Mhm.
But when you have people trying to do good work and do a job where, you know, you're trying to help the community, you're trying to help owners of businesses, you're trying to help, you know, um, well, TTC or anything else like that, like any sort of enterprise like that, and people go to court and there's no
Yeah.
substance to
Yep.
anything that's done. It
Yep.
kind of dejects you as an officer, and it kind of dejects you with saying like, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying it to be negative or anything. I'm just saying there needs to be a drastic change where people are accountable for their actions and people can see that. I think right now we're in a society where people don't take responsibility for what they do, and the actions and the consequences that arise from it, they don't appreciate the correlation between the two. They
Mm.
do an action, there's really no consequence in relation to what the action is,
Yeah. Yep.
depending on what it is. Do you know what I mean? So there's a it's a multifaceted thing where there's just a lot of things that can be done, and it's going to
Mhm.
take it takes everybody. It takes everybody coming together and creating a solution for how we can move forward and try and prevent
Mhm.
these things from happening. I
Yeah.
really don't have a golden ticket solution for you. I don't know what they can do other than, like I said, if they had the resources and the backing
Mhm.
for putting more people on the ground. But I don't know. It's a tricky issue, and whoever the next mayor of Toronto is going to be, that's going to be a priority for them, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, because I noticed that around here, like people do stuff. They walk into stores and they steal and they do it. They're like, no one's gonna do anything, so I'm just gonna keep doing it. And they
Right.
just keep coming back and they keep committing these same offenses habitually. And they're just like, you can see it in their step. They're like, no, no one's gonna do anything. I'm
Right.
good.
Exactly.
You
Right.
know, uh-huh. Oh
It's
man.
true.
And I noticed that too when I first moved here and I would talk to people about the penalties for certain crimes. And I'm like, what? 2 years for that? That's at least 10. That's 10 to 12 where I'm from,
Right.
So
And okay, so in the states,
yeah.
question for you now: Do
Okay.
you find the stiffer penalties down there help with lowering the crime level, or do you think it's just kind
No.
of the same? And no, okay.
Okay. Look at it like this. We have very stiff penalties.
Hmm.
And look at the crime rate. There's
Right.
still we're still one of the most criminally active countries in the world. It doesn't really change anything. So,
Right.
but you do get people who they go in and they don't get the help that they need, but when they're in prison, they meet guys who can help them to further their craft as criminals, and they make
Right.
those connections, come out, and then it just furthers the system. So,
Right.
I mean, guys, they're serving what, 30 years to life for murder. Tomorrow is going to be another guy come in for the same thing. It doesn't really deter anything. So,
Right.
And like you said, it's a multifaceted issue, and there is no golden ticket. And you could say, I would death penalty for everything, but
even that,
but
yeah.
that's not realistic, and people are still going to go out and they're going to do what they need to do. And I know you as an officer, I'm sure you come across people all the time who are, how do I word this? They're creating crimes or they're, oh my God, they are committing crimes of necessity, right? Like they go into a store and they steal something. I need baby formula, or I need this, or I need that. And those people are still getting, 2 years in prison. So I don't know. I hate to be a nihilist about
Right.
this, but I think this is just a part of the human experience. And that's why police, in my opinion, are necessary. Now, I would never call myself a quote unquote
Right.
bootlicker, but I do appreciate the job that you guys do. And I appreciate the role that you guys have in a functioning society. And for all the people who are like, we need to get rid
I
of
appreciate
police.
that. And
Look, I don't want to live in a world where there is no one that I can call to help me out. That I don't want to live in a world where there's just a ghost town and no police presence anywhere. That's just pure anarchy.
and it would be anarchy. And I like, I don't know. I don't know if you saw what happened in Seattle when I guess the CHOP area was up for a while, where literally there was no policing and they were just kind of
Oh
fending for
yeah,
themselves,
yeah.
and it just kind of
Mm-hmm.
evolved into nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that on a not a country scale. So imagine if the states or Canada went into that, where there was no police and everybody can just kind of they try to run things for themselves. It would just, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I
And I'm
can't
from
even
Detroit. I'm from
imagine.
Detroit. So that's a no-go for me. That
Right
would be insane. It would literally be like the purge.
now, so did you did you grow up in Detroit or no?
Yeah, I moved here when I was 25.
Did you
So,
grow up in Detroit?
well, no, I grew up in Southfield, which is a
Oh, okay, all
suburb
right.
of Detroit.
So
But
like right. Were you in that era when things were popping in Detroit, where things were like really, really good?
oh yeah, yeah, man, yeah, it was dope. Like like the late
Okay.
'80s. I would say
So and
to
what? Yep.
like 2000 ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what exactly happened then? Like I'm not saying like Detroit's. I've been to Detroit. I like Detroit. It's just
There was just a lot of mismanagement.
a lot of it is, I don't know,
There were a lot of no
abandoned,
bid
I guess.
contracts, a lot of guys feeding their buddies,
Right.
and they just didn't take care of the city. Like I still work in the States. Like
Hmm.
there are certain areas I can drive through the city and
Yeah.
there's still no streetlights. There are certain areas in the city where the blocks are still,
Oh,
still run down. And then you go a couple miles and then everything's back up. They just didn't take care of the city. They didn't,
but
they
what's the
didn't
reason for that? So literally from one block to the next could be like night and day. But what's the
yeah,
reason for that? Like I don't understand how. I don't know how that
it's
can
it's
happen.
it,
I just
it's the community, it's the people in the area. Some
right,
neighborhoods care more than others. And
right.
that's just the honest truth about it.
Hmm.
And there are a lot of really nice areas, but people would never know about it because everything is publicized as being derelict and run down. But I would say this: the people in Detroit are some of the nicest people. And I might be biased, but
Right.
they're some of the nicest, most welcoming people. I would not recommend that you drive there,
Hmm.
but they're very nice people. So
Yeah.
I think it's a ruthless town. There's a lot of drug money. There's a lot of gangs. So a lot of the violence is isolated to that. But once you're outside of that, you're fine. Like no one's gonna seek you out and bring you into their drama. So
Okay. And then coming up to Canada, do you find that there's anywhere that's similar to Detroit then, or no?
no, no,
Okay.
no, no. I was with my brother-in-law. This was about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And he's
Mhm.
taking me to some area. I don't know. It was somewhere on Finch or somewhere. And he's like,
Okay.
this is the hood. And I'm looking around and I'm like, where's the hood? And like this, like I grew up in a nice neighborhood, you know, all that stuff. So like I didn't grow up in the hood, but I'm like what is this? Like these are $200,000 homes. Like this isn't the hood where I'm from. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a bigger difference than what people think. Like when you cross the
Okay.
border, the attitude changes completely.
Mhm.
So, you know, you go over, I'm more on my guard. I'm kind of watching everything. When I come back home, I relax. And that's what I
Right.
like about it. I get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
No
so
doubt.
uh but yeah, you should come back to Detroit, man.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. What were you doing
Absolutely.
when you were down here?
Funny enough, we went shopping in Detroit, and
Okay.
then we kind of did a tour downtown.
Yeah.
Downtown was it was interesting because I think at the time when we were down there at the time there was
Uh,
the scooter pandemic or whatever. There was like a whole bunch of scooters just everywhere,
oh, yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
downtown, bro.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I don't know where they came from or what they were doing, but there was just a litany of scooters just everywhere. Like, what the
Yeah.
hell is going on? So I don't know if that's like one of those things where it's like we have those bikes in Toronto
Mhm.
where it's like those rideshare things.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
it's the
assuming
same
it's the
thing.
same type of thing.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
right. So,
Yep.
but otherwise, Detroit, like I said, I didn't mind Detroit, but I don't know. It was just a weird when you hit certain spots. It's like, holy cheese, man, what is going
Yeah.
on down here?
Yeah, man. It's just I mean, I wish it could be different, but like you said, the people in charge need to take responsibility for what's going on
Right. Yeah.
and funnel money to the proper areas because right now they're focused on downtown. They want to build
Right.
up downtown, they want to bring in the tourist dollars, but you got to focus on the neighborhoods. You got to focus on the spine.
Yeah.
So,
And I've been a proponent of that. I've always said that if you're doing well in your life, you're
mhm,
more inclined to try and do well for others as well. And what I
yeah.
mean by that is if I'm doing well financially, I'm more apt to spend my money in my town and try and
Ah,
create things better. Do you know what I mean?
mhm,
Like right now we're in this terrible financial situation
yeah,
where I think
yeah.
everybody's just kind of trying to hang on to what they have,
Mhm,
and myself included. Like I mean, I'd say 5, 6 years ago, I was making decent money. I still
mhm.
make decent money, but in terms of
It doesn't
how
stretch as
far my
far.
money goes,
Mhm.
exactly. It doesn't
Yep.
stretch as far now, man.
Yep. I
So I
know.
think that the world would be a much better place if people were happier, live their
Yeah.
lives how they
Yeah.
wanted to, and had that financial stability to be like, all right, cool, I'm set, I'm good. I can now share my wealth with other people and help them out.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And that whether that means like, for example, my family and I, every Christmas we sponsor a family and we buy gifts for a family that's less fortunate.
Okay.
So, like I said, you're more inclined to do those sorts of things on the daily versus just on like a special occasion. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right.
So I don't know, man. I think the drastic change needs to come when it comes to that as well, where we need to try to build up our own countries and make sure the people that live here are good, and
I
that way
agree.
we can then broaden that out
I agree.
worldwide,
I
right?
agree. Yep. Take care of home first.
Exactly, right? Like
If home's not good, it's like if you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else.
it's man. That's
Yep.
exactly it. Yeah. When your home's good, everything else is good.
Yep.
And right now, right now, home ain't that great. So,
Yeah. Oh
you
my
know?
God. That's a whole nother episode, Lawrence.
Oh, exactly. Exactly, man. That's a whole other topic, bro.
Now I kind of have a sensitive question for you.
Okay. Yep.
As a black officer, have you ever had any issues surrounding that? Or has it always been kind of above
No,
board?
funny enough, okay, so background, just to go back a little bit. When I was gonna get into policing, I did a co-op in my high school initially,
Mhm.
and my high school teacher, who was my co-op guidance, I guess, counselor at the time, she did like a pre-visit with Peel Regional Police because that's who I did my co-op with.
Mhm.
And she came back and she said, "Are you sure that this is something you want to do?" And I said, "Well, yes. Why are you even asking me that question?" And she said, "Well, it's a very white dominated service,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of negative connotations surrounding minorities." And it kind of took me aback
Yeah.
because all my childhood, all my life, whenever I had interaction with the police, it was always good. And I will tell you the one person, shout out to Ian Kittle. Ian Kittle was a school resource officer when I moved to Brampton,
Mm.
and I met him when I was 8 years old. And when you're 8, you're tiny. He was a mountain of a man at the time, wearing this
Mhm.
cool blue uniform with a gun and all this stuff. And I can still vividly remember that memory of seeing him and being like, "Holy shit, that's it. That's what I want to do." With obviously with other smatterings of other things as to why I want to be a police officer, but
Mm.
that was another big thing. Um, Sorry, where was I going with this? I totally lost track now. Right?
Come
Uh,
on.
no, what
And
were we
you
talking
and
about? What were
you're
we talking about?
have you had any adversity being
Right.
a
So
black officer?
right. Sorry. So anyway, so that took me back to that, and I asked her, "Well, no, like I've never had a bad interaction with the police. I've never had a bad interaction because of my race or anything like that."
Mhm.
And again, me being naive at the time, I wouldn't say that I was worldly or knew of the stuff that was going on down south or knew of stuff that was going
Mhm.
on in policing where there was racial profiling or anything like that. Because I'm not saying that it's never happened. It's clearly
Right.
happened,
Right. Right.
right? But I was never privy to that or part of that. I never had that
Mm.
happen to me.
Right. Right.
So I guess I had a skewed view of what policing was. Policing to me was like the be all and end all. You're there to help people, and that's that. That's it.
Mhm.
Um, so anyway, so I get in, and not racism. There was subtle things where you crack jokes about
Mm.
race,
Yeah.
like say there's a call coming in and it was like a robbery or something. It's like, oh well,
Here we
which
go.
black guys are we getting? Which black
Uh,
guys are we getting today? You know what I mean?
oh my
But
God.
right, but again, to me, it wasn't coming from a place of racism. To me, it was coming from a place of, and I'm not saying it to be racist right now, but I'm not saying majority of crime is committed by black people, but there's like when you're in policing, you're dealing
Mhm.
with people at a criminal element. You're dealing with the bad 1% of society
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the time, whether it be white, black, Chinese, Indian, whatever.
Mhm.
You're dealing with that person. So depending on the crime, like for example, like domestics in Brampton, East Indian, robberies
Mm.
in Brampton, black,
Okay.
fraud or like a liquor store robbery or something, white guy. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, and I'm not saying that to be like that's what you automatically go to. It's
Right.
just that's how you create levity with the
Mm.
situation.
Mhm.
Because in policing, you see some heinous things. So you got to have humor. You got to have some sort of levity throughout the day to
Yeah.
get through it,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
But in terms of racism and the way I've experienced it, I've never really experienced it from any of my colleagues.
Mhm.
Um, I've had to check one colleague once when he said the N word when he was telling the story. I've never used the N word in my life. I've personally never said it ever, and I won't. And
Okay.
so when he said it to me, I was like, "Bro, you need to fucking check yourself." Sorry for
Yeah.
swearing,
No,
but
no, please, please.
you cannot say that around me, man. And
Yeah.
he was good with it. He's like, "Bro, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah.
I was only saying it because I'm telling a story. I didn't mean it in a derogatory manner." I'm like,
Mhm.
bro, I don't care. It doesn't matter if you're not using a derogatory manner. Just please do not say that word around me.
Right. Especially since you don't use it.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and we're cool. We're good friends. It's just, you know what I mean? Like I've never, like I said, I've never personally had any racist connotation against me.
Mhm.
However, when dealing with the public, I've had that said to me a number of times
Mm.
from white people, black people, Chinese, Native Indian, all races. They will say it, and I think they only say it because
They want to get
you're
under
in a
your skin.
uniform. Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was going to. So you're in a uniform. They want to get a rise out of you because they want
Yeah.
to make you react and do something
Mm.
stupid. And then,
Yeah.
oh, now I got you on something that, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I've had black people call me Uncle Tom. They call me the N word. They call me, you know, porch. You know what I'm saying? Like bad derogatory
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
right? But I can honestly say in my career, I've never had it from another colleague, another officer, or anything like that.
Mhm.
And the worst of it, the worst that I've had is from white people that are like hardcore. I'm not saying hardcore white, but from very white dominated areas. So, like
Mm.
for example, in Mississauga Lakeshore, when I was working on the lakeshore,
Mhm.
the majority of people down there, if they didn't like me, that's what they would say.
Mm.
They call me that. And I learned early on that you can't react. Like there's certain times where holy like what like you're pushing my buttons, you need to stop. But you kind of like hate just I don't know, man, has no place. You know what I mean? Like
You're right. Of course
if
not.
you let that enter and creep in, it's only going to make you an ugly person. And I don't want
Yeah.
to be that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Kind of like
So
the laugh to keep yourself from crying type
it's
thing.
exactly, man. Exactly. So I mean, like I said, I've dealt with way more heinous stuff than being called names. So that just rolls off the back now.
Mhm.
I don't care. You want to call me that? Call me that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm still gonna try and solve whatever issue that you're having, but if you're not gonna give me the respect, then I'm not really not gonna put in too much effort in trying to
Yeah.
help you out. You know what I mean?
No,
So,
I feel that.
right?
So we're before we head out, I'd like to know if you could say anything to the general public.
Yeah.
What would you want them to know about your job, what it's like, the feeling and the thought that goes behind it, like
Right.
kind of like your message to the general public.
Public, especially in the day and age, learn to cope, learn to take responsibility for your actions. Remember that officers are just people as well, and they're there to help you. When you call and we come, we're there to help. Whatever the situation is, you called us because you're in crisis or something's going on. We're there to help. We're not the bad guys. I'm not saying that there's bad, good, or whatever officers. There are bad officers. There's great officers.
Mhm.
But I would say 99.9% of officers on the daily, they get up, they go to work, they want to do good. They just
Mhm.
want to make sure the community's safe. They want to make sure that mom and dad get to go home, see their kids. They live a good, fruitful life. And I want to come home. I want to see my wife when I get home. I want to see my son when I get home.
Mhm.
That's all it is, man. The main thing is just be kind to everybody. Whether I wear a uniform or whether I'm just in my clothes, just be kind. Just treat everybody with respect and we'll be cool.
Well said. Well said, sir. Now I got another question. Can I
Yeah,
get a
man.
ride along?
Bro, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm down for the ride along, man.
Yes, man.
Yes. I want to see what it's like a day in the life of an OPP officer.
I will absolutely try and set that up, bro. If you're serious about it, I will see what I
Really?
can do about setting it up. Hell yeah,
No
man. I'll
shit.
see what I can do
Okay,
about setting it
bet.
up.
Let's
Yeah,
do that.
absolutely. Yeah,
Let's
man.
get that going. Well,
Once
sir.
my shoulder's all healed up.
Yeah. No. I need you at 100% when we go back out there. You know,
Yeah,
because I
man.
don't want to have to start scrapping. I'm not covered by the insurance. So, you know, like because if I don't want to
Hey,
have to
man, as long
piece
as you can
somebody
hold your
up.
own, we're good. As long as you can hold your own, we're good.
Oh man. Oh well, sir. Thank you so much for coming on.
Bro,
Thank
I appreciate you having me on, man. This was
Oh, for
awesome.
sure. Anytime you like. Thank you for all the support you've extended me from day one.
Absolutely, man. Like I said, man, this is such a great platform. You're doing such a great show. I'm telling you, man, like it's gonna blow up. Take your time.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I was listening to Joe Rogan today, and he said when I first started this podcast, nobody listened.
Yeah.
Nobody paid attention. It was just word of mouth. That's why every time I can, I put it out there on Facebook and stuff just to come and listen to your show, bro. Because it's good stuff. It's
really
stuff we need to hear. It's fantastic, man.
Thank you so
I
much.
really enjoy what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Brick by brick. That's it. Just
man.
stay
Exactly.
dedicated.
Brick by brick, bro.
Don't worry about the future. Stay in the present. And yeah, brick by brick. Oh man. Hopefully one day. No, not hopefully. One day you'll be on the big platform and
yeah, man.
We'll Absolutely. Have you'll be one of the OGs.
Perfect, man.
All right.
I'm totally good with that.
Oh man. Well, thank you again so much, Lawrence. And
yeah, man.
Yo, best of luck to you getting healed up, Thanks, getting back out there and making the world a better and safer place.
That's the hope, bro. That's the hope.
All right, sir. You have a good one.
All right, man. You too, brother.
Peace.